Hey, hello and welcome to yet another stream for project managers. If you are new here, my name is Dmitry Nizhebetsky. I am the author of the Practical Project Management book and your project management mentor for the last decade or so. So, if you are new here, say hello in the chat. We'll get started right away because we have a very serious topic. Uh, Let me just check if the sound works all right. And if you can hear me, just let me know. Yeah. All right, we can get started. So the topic of the live stream is basically AI project lifecycle. So what's going on right now in the IT industry is that you definitely see this, that AI projects, data projects are taking over and more projects require AI. AI is everywhere. And the problem here, the challenge here is that standard typical software development lifecycle is not keeping up with what's happening and the demands of new types of projects. That's why right now it feels like SDLC is going to die, at least for the new types of projects, and you need to adapt. You need to start building your hybrid project management approaches. And this will be a series of live streams. Today we'll talk about life cycles, hybrid project management approaches, how to build them. Later we'll talk specifically about AI and data projects life cycle. So if you want to see those live streams as well, either click the like button or go into the description and subscribe to my free mini course, and you will get notifications from me. I hope to do AI project lifecycle live stream in a week or two, whenever the presentation is ready. So if you see this barcode here or QR code, you can scan it with a phone, and that will be enough to stay in touch with me and learn everything about AI project life cycles. All right, so let's move on. Hello, Carlos. By the way, hello, guys. Thanks for chiming in. Andrew as well. Hello, hello. All right. So, okay, question and answers. By the way, this is a live stream, but if you will have any questions uh, in the process of my explanation, in process of lectures, feel free to write them in the comments. I either will pause when I see them and find the time to answer them, or I will answer them at the end. At the end, we'll have live Q&A, so that you live here with all clarity that you know everything about hybrid project management. All right. Policy for hello, hello. All right, let's get going. So please take time and say hello as everyone else. Just let me know where you're joining. I'm really interested to know how global our community is. So I'm hosting this live stream from Poland right now. I'm in Krakow. So let me know. All right, let's move on. So why hybrid project management? Well, first of all, as you can see from the chart, this is the statistics from Project Management Institute. It's in 2024, so it's already been moving into the space of hybrid project management. So more than 50% of project management approaches, or more than 50% of project managers basically used hybrid project management. That's because not AI, but Agile, lost its glamour. Everyone tried it, everyone saw benefits and disadvantages of Agile and decided, okay, serious enterprise level projects require hybrid project management. It's not enough to have just Scrum or Kanban, all right? And in 2025 and 2026, we'll see that this movement from either just Agile or plan-driven will be much bigger, and I'll explain why. And we'll see the movement towards hybrid project management even further. So why hybrid project management? Let's break it down. So generative AI or Gen AI projects have a certain life cycle, and it includes selecting and evaluating and deploying and then fine-tuning Gen AI models. And this requires a completely different life cycle with much faster feedback loops than even with agile development. So waiting for 1 week or for even 2 weeks for one iteration is too slow for Gen AI projects. You want to identify problem and find a quick solution right away. Okay. Then we have data projects, and if you've been leading any data projects, you already know that there is a phase like data mining, and without going through this discovery phase of data mining, finding the right data, you cannot promise almost nothing about the outcomes or any kind of results from this project. So you need to do the discovery very quickly, iteratively, and only then like move to the implementation phase of the project. Uh, and if you go with any AI, ML, machine learning, or artificial intelligence projects, they usually combine both. So you'll see that you'll have data mining, data transformation project, and then model training and fine-tuning those models based on that. And that's why we need to understand what's the nature of those projects so that you can select the right project management approach. And as you already understand, you cannot do it in plan-driven way, you cannot do it purely in agile way. That's why you'll have to combine different approaches. And this leads us to basically the main idea of what we're going to discuss today is basically understanding the project life cycle. And I worked with so many project managers, and I can tell you right away that even senior project managers who worked for decades in IT industry, quite often they don't conceptualize this idea enough to apply it across new types of projects like a skill. Like building a project lifecycle is a skill, but unfortunately, as you will see, especially again in IT industry, we work with 1, 2, maybe 3 typical life cycles, like software development life cycle. It's a typical life cycle that we work with. But where we are moving right now, it's important to understand that these new types of projects, and I think they will be changing even more and more, will require you to understand, okay, what types of phases, what types of work we'll be doing, and how to combine them in a life cycle, and then how to select the right project management approach into each phase. So a project lifecycle, as you see from definition, is a combination of all phases needed from start to finish of a project. And this is your like typical PMP exam type of definition. You already know it, I hope. You have the fundamentals here. But here's what's important. And this is, I think, the problem that I see in PMP exam, in the way they teach you. They give you this idea of life cycle, but they don't explain how to use it on practical side. And from this definition, we have another word which requires a lot of explanation. So all the phases. Do projects have phases? Yes. What's a project phase then? A project phase is a part of a project dedicated to creating one or more of the project deliverables. And again, deliverables, another term that we need to explain. If you remember, it's a tangible or intangible piece of a project that you need to deliver in order to finish it successfully. All right. So the idea is that when you are leading a project, you need to know what are the major deliverable, the main like product, service, or result that you are delivering, and then B, how you can break it down into smaller pieces and plan those smaller pieces. And when you know deliverables, the biggest idea that is like missing in all teachings in project management, that each deliverable basically requires different types of work by nature. I will illustrate you right now on a maybe construction project, because it's easier to visualize and explain. So imagine that this is like a construction project for a house and its life cycle, and we have phase one. And in phase one, we need to deliver or create a house blueprint. In phase two, our main deliverable is the project plan. It's like, okay, someone took the blueprint and then decided what work needs to be done and created a project plan. Then phase three, like multiple deliverables, that's the construction part of the project, and you create basement, you build walls, you build the roof, and all other external components like big dirty work. And phase four, it's decorations inside and outside of the house. And at the end, you clean up, remove the equipment, and by the end of phase five, you have your house, the main deliverable, the final outcome. Now, think about it. Who is doing work here? So in phase one, when we create a blueprint, you probably work with architects or engineers who just draw the blueprint of the house. And then when you move to phase two, when you're creating a project plan, most probably it's another engineer, but different type even of engineer or a foreman who takes the blueprint and tries to break it down into what materials you need, what people you need, what work is included here, and they create your typical project plan. And then we move to phase three. It's a completely different phase by nature, because here, like the construction workers, they're actually laying bricks, moving things around, basically building the house itself. And you have a foreman who controls their work. Again, completely different work in nature. And in phase four, even when we work with construction workers, these will be different types of workers who knows how to decorate, put together furniture, and so on and so on. And after that, there will be some landscape designers in phase five who will lay grass. So as you can see, the project life cycle includes phases of different work in nature, and deliverables may be similar, maybe not, but they are created by different experts, if you want, and they require different approach, and they require like, even if you look at it with camera, like if you try to capture it, it will be just different work in nature. Now, here's the problem for the IT industry as I see it right now. We've been in software development lifecycle for decades now, for many decades, and software development lifecycle is just a typical, standardized to some extent project lifecycle in the IT industry. And you have probably seen this type of pictures, which show you the phases, which show you the typical work. And again, if you've been in the IT industry quite long enough, you already understand that, okay, in pre-sales, it's mostly negotiation, and you are trying to get the clients. So there is not much project management work here. Initiation is just like initial conversation, some meetings, and creating a document. When we go into concept design, proof of concept, or designing the architecture, again, we're creating documents here, no engineering work per se here. Maybe when we do the proof of concept, that's engineering of like a piece of software. But it will be different than engineering the work through like the main implementation phases. All right. So again, in most cases, you don't experience life cycle like this. It's not structured. It's always overlaps. Phases merge with one another. And when you look at it, you have on top of that in IT industry, even large projects, we use like hybrid project management approaches with Agile, and we usually call it Agile project management. By the way, if you are multitasking right now, just get back to me and look at the screen. I'll show a fancy animation here just to explain a few critical problems with general understanding of a life cycle. You ready? I'll do it maybe 2 times. So this is your typical Agile project management. And if you're using Scrum, basically here's what happens, which Okay, you took and put all the phases, stack them up one upon another, and then you just slice them, and these are your sprints. So this is the whole idea of agile project management. You're using a Scrum or Kanban framework, and you're just slicing all the phases, taking one small piece at a time, and maybe you're doing all this work just for one iteration. That's it. But if you don't conceptualize it to such extent, like you don't have this big picture of project management as I'm showing right now, the problem becomes that you really, even like if you lead projects, in majority of cases you work with small teams, and your project lifecycle actually looks like this in a timeline perspective. You have maybe some small pre-sales phase, maybe you do some roadmap planning for a very short period of time, and then I don't know, 6 to 12 months of implementation using Scrum and Kanban. And it feels like you basically have just one huge phase like implementation, and that's it. And even if you run like these big projects with all the phases and you create those deliverables from those phases, in reality, again, we have a problem that these phases are so shrink together that they take maybe few days each, and then again we're getting into 12 months development project where we do UI design, requirements collection, all in parallel while developing. And then once we're done collecting requirements, it's a long-term implementation, day by day. So you're kind of not experiencing all the phases of a life cycle. That's why it's so difficult to conceptualize this idea of a life cycle. It's so difficult to create a new life cycle for a new type of a project. So here's the big idea. When we start talking about building a hybrid project management approach, it basically means that you need to analyze existing life cycles, existing phases, and if we like drill down, you basically need to understand the nature of work in each phase, and then select the required project management approach, whether it's a plan-driven like Waterfall approach, and maybe it's Scrum, maybe it's Kanban, or in most cases, by the way, the easiest part is not like you are using some heavy structured project management approach. You are in most phases you are using just like task-driven creation of a deliverable. All right. So when it comes to standard project management life cycles, that software development life cycle, then we are dealing with the phases. We understand what's the work in those phases. And for example, if we go and see, okay, pre-sales, what are the main deliverables? Okay, it's agreement with sales. It's a high-level requirements, contracts, and maybe some bit of stakeholder analysis. How do we do that? So do we need here Scrum? Do we need Scrum in pre-sales? I think the answer is obvious. You basically don't need Scrum in pre-sales. It's even don't have usually a structured step-by-step approach. It just happens in meetings. Maybe like sales team has certain workflow set up in their sales system, and that's it. And for example, if you're doing prototyping, it looks like the same as implementing the product in the future during execution and testing. But if you think about it, it may be even different than normal Scrum 2 weeks iteration approach. You look at the prototyping. You want to prove a certain assumption as quickly as possible with a dirty implementation, just to know that it's feasible, it's capable. And then you will maybe use either like kind of task-driven micromanagement of your developers. They will do what you ask, demo it. Maybe it will take a day or two. You don't need to plan out whole sprint for that. And Then you can go into other phases. For example, if it's a large project and you have a testing phase, and this is not testing of the product, it's like pre-production testing with user acceptance testing, business validation testing, cybersecurity testing, and all this good stuff. And deliverables here like testing plan, test reports, bug report, and customer sign-offs. I can tell you from my experience, this phase, like of external testing, if you want, or additional testing of your product, is better to do with a plan-driven approach, because in most cases you need to plan and get commitment from business units to do the UAT testing. You need to get maybe a vendor again commitment to perform cybersecurity or performance testing of your product, and you need to get their date in advance. And that's why, again, Scrum or Kanban is not appropriate here. And then hypercare. When it's like you're going to hypercare phase and you are bombarded with urgent requests from production and you need to fix them right away. Again, planning out sprints and taking on tasks in a planned fashion, even if it's like 1 week sprints, might be not fast enough. And in this case, maybe a Kanban approach will be much better. So this is the type of analysis I want you to think about when you're analyzing the work and how we're doing this work on a project. And again, as I explained, you may have different approaches in each phase. Like, okay, prototyping, to-do list works better. Execution, main execution, Scrum looks like a valid approach, or Kanban is also applicable here. And in other phases, like in hypercare, Kanban will work better. So when it comes to mastering hybrid project management, here's the action plan that I want you to remember or, again, conceptualize. First of all, you want to identify all deliverables and phases, and you want to understand the nature of work in each phase. And then comes the main idea. So basically, you want to treat each phase as a sub-project or as a mini project, which means you look at it as if it's a standalone project, and you need to decide, okay, how I'm going to manage this part, how I'm going to plan it out, track and execute the work to create this deliverable or multiple deliverables from this phase, looking at the nature of work. Again, think about the difference. If you have a standalone phase working with designers to create user experience, user interface designs, and again, sometimes you can put them into Scrum team and work with them in agile way, but in most cases they're like external team and they're working in parallel with the development team. In this case, are you going to run Scrum for them? It doesn't make sense. Even if you lead like 5 or 10 UI designers for your product, you're treating it as a sub project, and you'll probably set the deadlines, set the expectations and tasks, and you will maybe prioritize the parts of application you want to do them first. Yep. And then it will be just task-driven or milestone-driven approach, where you said, okay, by this date I need these 3 screens or mock-ups. By this date we need other 6 mock-ups, and so on and so on. So when it comes to selecting an approach to the project, we need to consider one key criteria. I would say this criteria applies to any decision on selecting the right methodology, whether you go Agile, whether you go with Scrum or Kanban, or you do something in the middle. And this is assessing requirements for each deliverable. So the main idea that you should be thinking is that do requirements for this deliverable change a lot, or is there a possibility that they will change? Or even like in a broader term, do we have all the requirements for this deliverable? If the answer is no, we don't have all the deliverables, and most probably we will collect them on the go when we can play with these parts of these deliverables or first versions of deliverables. That means it's agile. If in any case, like if you think about it, if you can collect all the requirements for a piece of work, you can document them, and you are pretty sure that they will not change, then in 99.9% of cases, applying a plan-driven approach to create a piece of work or a deliverable that is fully specified will be much faster with a plan-driven approach, because you will be able to hire the right resources, level the workload, and plan it out in the most efficient way without any complications. Because there is most probably the biggest misconception is that agile frameworks, Scrum and Kanban, they like speed up the development in the IT industry. I hope you already know that it's not the case. Agile methodologies just give you flexibility or adaptability to change requirements fast, but this doesn't mean that you will develop faster. It may be in some cases, but in most cases, the benefit is flexibility, not the speed. That's why you need to understand what's the feedback loop as well. So imagine that even if you go with agile approach and you say, okay, we don't know how the deliverable should look like, what's the approach here for this phase, what's the feedback loop? If you take the POC, like creating of proof of concept, some small application, small idea, then maybe once a week is okay, and then Scrum with 1 week iteration looks fine. But when we get into this AI, especially Gen AI space, when you have a problem and you need to apply AI in some way to fix that problem, waiting for a week to see the result is way too long. You want to experiment, like you want to run multiple experiments per day to see the outcomes. In most AI projects, you will want to get feedback loops, like multiple feedback loops every day. Let's try this prompt, let's try this prompt, let's try this approach, maybe combine this model, maybe we use this model, see which results, which combination works better. And in this case, like working with even 1 week sprints is way too long. All right. And then again, if there is no basically need for feedback loops and we can show something of a deliverable as a whole deliverable, some pieces of deliverable like mockups, just different screens one by one, and they're not so dependent on each other, and it's a sequential work, then just task-driven approach, when you have just tasks in order, in priority order, is more than enough. You don't even need statuses, you don't need any additional complications, even as simple as Kanban board. Task-driven approaches quite well. So this is the main idea. Where you need to know the nature of work, you need to understand how the work happens, and then you need to assess how the requirements in this work change, how quickly they change, or do they change, and how fast you need to react to those changes. So the feedback loop and the changes of the requirements. This gives you the main indication to select the proper approach. And don't overcomplicate it, guys. If you think about it, you don't have so many options. You have Kanban, you have Scrum, you have plan-driven approach. In like there is an array of options here, and you have task-driven approach. And maybe if you don't want to micromanage, you can just describe the deliverables and set the milestone for an external team, and that's all you need for that phase as of a project management approach. All right. So the idea is that after that, you select the project management approach for each phase. And usually, all right, and usually that's a set of different approaches for a different part of the project. If we get back to this slide, again, this will be your phases, and each phase will have a different approach. The only caveat is that the same as I described with this short illustration, I'll run it again. You see, like in most cases, you may decide that, all right, it's not appropriate to do this sequentially. It's much better to do it in parallel, maybe with like small overlap, not full overlap, but small overlap, and implement these phases together because they require feedback loops between each other. And in this case, you need also to consider if multiple phases, multiple deliverables require the same approach. In some cases, you can combine those phases into one combined phase and maybe apply some agile or plan-driven approach and work on creating two dependent deliverables at the same time. Okay, so understand the nature of work. Let's get back to the steps. Understand deliverables, understand the nature of work required for these deliverables. Maybe an option, consider if there is a need to do deliverables at the same time because they're interrelated, they're connected. The feedback loops between them impact each other. That's the main idea, I would say. And then you assess the requirements in those deliverables. How quickly the requirements change? Can we collect all the requirements in the beginning, like upfront? And if yes, in most cases, plan-driven approach is better. If no, then agile approach, one of the agile approaches is better. And feedback loop. If the feedback loop between what you planned and what you created and whether you need to adapt is less than 1 week, then you select some kind of task-driven approach. If it's more than 1 week, consider Scrum or Kanban. All right? Then select the project management approach for each phase. Now, the biggest question here is, okay, Dmitro, but that's cool that you have so much experience, you know different life cycles, you know, like all the different phases with different types of works, different types of even IT projects, and all this like is in your head already. But if you are a new project manager, you don't have like 15 years of experience yet, how do you know what phases are there, what types of deliverables are there, and what should you do? All right. So this gives me and brings me to another interesting topic, and we'll try to use new technologies. Let me just share my other screen. Okay. I will show you these. Okay. So, by the way, guys, if you're like feeling that you're not very versed in everything that I say, especially in project management, keep in mind that I have a course that explains it all in every single detail. And I'm like just showing you the main structure here of the course. It's basically everything that you need to systemize your knowledge, to learn how to run any IT project with examples, with templates, with tools, with workbooks. But most importantly, if you feel like you are behind in AI, it's also AI enhanced course for project managers. And I have a new up-to-date module on AI in project management. So this is a foundational must know, everything that a project manager must know. So do consider, if you feel like, especially in this type of economy right now that we are, maybe you need to upgrade your skills. This will be a powerful course to systemize your knowledge, start thinking about more complex projects, and start using technology that we have right now. So for example, if we go, what I wanted to show you, benefits of knowing project lifecycle. Here I have a huge prompt. And if you know anything about prompt engineering, these are the prompts that you should be using for any serious activity on your project. All right. So for this live stream, I just copied this prompt, and let me just show you what I want you to basically do. Again, I'm not going to share this prompt on the live stream, but you can get it in the course if you want, or you can write your own prompts. That's not such a crazy skill to do. And I'll just walk you through what I want you to I want you to see. So this is a prompt to help you brainstorm all possible phases of the project, brainstorm all the possible deliverables that you may have there based on the project context. And you need just to fill this out. And in this case, for example, again, I'm assuming if you are a new project manager, this is most important for you. And you lead a small mobile development with one Scrum team to develop an application on iPhone to track family budget, blah, blah, blah. And the application will leverage receipt and invoice recognition system, as well as some AI capabilities. So this is the prompt, like a typical project that you may get these days. And then I will ask AI to give me a breakdown of all possible phases, why we need them, nature of work, key deliverables, if it's a mandatory or optional, and what types of deliverables to include, and then how to format it, what to use, and some key constraints. First of all, I will show you how it looks in ChatGPT. I assume that you guys all use free ChatGPT account, at least, and I'll just copy paste it and let's see what it does. By the way, I'm going to show you two problems right now, like killing two birds with one stone. First of all, you must have heard me saying, I'll just leave it for a second to populate the answer, but you heard me saying that the problem with ChatGPT and all other tools, is that they are trained on generic project management theory. So on PMBOK Guide, on all the articles from popular project management tools and other bloggers and so on. That's why the answer, even here and now with this sophisticated prompt, it will be quite generic. I know this without even looking on the output. That's why you should be very careful about what you are getting. All right. So, all right, below is a comprehensive catalog of all possible phases. You need to decide which one to use, and we suggest the hybrid delivery model. All right. So project concept and feasibility. This is like basically a pre-sale if it's an external project, or feasibility analysis for internal projects. And now you read through all this and you like identify target users, conduct feasibility analysis, estimations, concepts and decision makers, blah, blah, blah. And deliverables, again, documents like project. Let me make it bigger for you so that you can see what I'm reading here. So as you can see, these are like typical textbook theory that usually don't apply to the real world. Is it mandatory? Yes, it's mandatory. Internal maintenance or enhanced projects, then it's optional, can be combined with project initiation. Okay, let's assume we move to project initiation. Establish formal authority for the start of the project. Again, it's required if it's an internal product. If it's not internal, you already have a client and you have their authorization. Key deliverables, project charter, initial risk register, stakeholder map. You see, the problem is that the nature of work is not very descriptive. Define scope, high-level scope, constraints, assumptions, develop preliminary budget and milestones. So what type of work is this? This is your work. It's basically the work of a project manager to document all of that. Discovery and requirements exploration phase. And here's where it comes, like where the theory basically crumbles when it comes to real world implementation. Definitely you're not going to collect the requirements. You won't do all of this. And that skews your understanding in most cases of real life project management approaches. When it comes to identifying the life cycle, the key deliverables and nature of work. Again, it's not explain. It doesn't explain you what needs to be done, how you're collecting this, who is doing this, how do you work with that. All right. And then again, solution architecture and technical designs. Notice that we've been through four phases already, four main phases of a project. And in most real life projects, you will never see these types of phases and these types of deliverables because it's not something that we do. We skip it. We maybe have a short meeting to cover all of these, and maybe even don't do solution architecture, technical design upfront, especially for a small software application, even if it integrates with Azure and other platforms. Planning and road mapping. Do we do it usually? Again, in most cases, no. If it's internal product and it's a portfolio of products, maybe yes, maybe no. You see where I'm going? So even with all these sophisticated prompts, with all these, I would say, capabilities of an AI, you cannot differentiate whether this is a really important part of the project or is it a generic theory. And I can tell you right away, this is generic theory. In most cases, you don't run projects like that, even in hybrid project management. I specify that it's a small one Scrum team project at the prompt. And still AI is like, okay, even in hybrid project management, even for a small team, you need 5 phases upfront to get started. That's not true. That's not the real life. That's, guys, why you should be very, very careful with any AI tool. And you want to ensure that you use your critical thinking and understanding or like visualization of the projects, how it's going to do, how we're going to do this, and how you're going to implement this phase, whether it combines with something, whether it works. And here's the catch. Here's another catch, by the way. If we go here and say, okay, there is this one, project initiation, and the nature of work here is basically define high-level scope, constraints, assumptions, approve formal go live, formal start of the project. But nowhere here we actually identified the real project goal. We should be identifying here project objectives, not just in project charter. That's almost the main part of all these 5 phases that they gave you. And if you want to know such things, if you want to basically if you don't want to make these mistakes, I want to recommend you to scan this barcode. You should see it some here, or QR code here, and it will give you access to a mini course that will give you the 6 fundamental parts of any project management approach. And one of them is project goal. Without project goal, you can basically create something that no one cares about. And this is step 1. And instead of giving you all this basically theoretical generic theory of life cycle, you can also find a prompt, AI prompt, to reverse engineer a goal of a project and then present it to clients in a subtle way, even without providing this formal project chart. So it's highly recommended. If you don't have project goal right now, if it feels like it's a very difficult project, go get that mini course. All right, so this is ChatGPT, and I will go back very quickly, do the same exercise, maybe just to show you another idea. I have AI PM Mentor. That's basically another chatbot. And let's try to do the same here. It's basically the same prompt. Let's see if a real-world project management knowledge base will help us to identify a better approach than ChatGPT. All right. Let me just again make it a bit bigger. Okay. So unfortunately, I would say because all the models are trained on the same data, like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and even AI PM Manta under the hood has one of the foundational models, and therefore their training is basically forces them to use this generic theory. Even though I have like 15 years of experience added to those models under the hood in this model. So you see what it does better than ChatGPT. It gives you some indication on type of work and effort. So defining and documenting project business case and goals, identifying and documenting, assigning the project manager and the effort required. So it gives you the type of work, the nature of work that you need to do, and it gives you some indication how difficult it is, how much time it usually takes, and what's the nature of work. Again, the same with stakeholder and context analysis. Not a real phase, unfortunately, but something that you may need to do if it's like product development from scratch. Technical and architecture discovery, special phase, maybe needed, maybe not. Again, proof of concept. If you have AI or character recognition system here, again, maybe I'll make it bigger for you. And usually the duration, highly technical effort. Again, it gives you more indication of how it looks in the real world. And key deliverables. You notice that it's a more specific type of document, not just like architecture design, like generic term. It knows that there are some documents that we use in the real IT projects like ADD. All right. So notice the difference. It might be subtle because it's also like LLM is generating the text for you, but the idea is that this chatbot is trained on practical project management and typical use cases in real life compared to the generic ChatGPT. And do notice, ChatGPT suggested that we do development, but it didn't mention that we'll be using any sprints, any agile approach, and the effort here. All right, so basically that's the exercise you should be doing if you find yourself with a new types of project. You can use ChatGPT, you can use any AI tool that you use, but be careful. You need to do this research, but ChatGPT specifically may be very misleading in this area. It will give you the generic theory based on these theoretical projects, not real world projects. And you are responsible to decide which part of the project is real, which is imaginary, which doesn't happen ever in the real world. All right, that's the demo. I say that you do want to invest some time. You may not need such a huge prompt unless you want to really prepare yourself for 2026, where prompt engineering will be basically a mandatory skill, where you will use such prompts for agentic AI. And agentic AI will come to your Google tools, to your Microsoft tools, and you will have to use something like this. So write a prompt, ask AI to give you the phases and typical work, typical deliverables, so you can imagine the project. And you can do a reverse exercise as well. You can basically take your project that you are leading right now, describe it for AI, and compare the outputs of AI model of ChatGPT, for example, how it understands your types of projects, its life cycle. If you provide enough details, it should generate something close to you, but you will notice how how generic the outputs are from that model. All right, let's move to last part from my side. By the way, guys, if you just joined, it's a live Q&A session that we'll have right now. So if you have any questions related to hybrid project management, different project management approaches, feel free to write the questions in the chat. I will try to answer them as many and as best as I can. For now, let me just go back to final part. I have some typical questions that I get from people on this topic, and I will cover it for you. So, is hybrid project management a new or formal methodology? And the answer is that hybrid project management is a concept that was present all the time. It's just the idea that I would say that PMI, Project Management Institute, with a PMP certification, at some point they said, hey, like plan-driven approach is the real professional project management approach. Agile said the same, but they said, okay, traditional waterfall is bad, Agile is good. And therefore, basically no one, taught you hybrid project management, because all these big players, big powers, they basically try to demonize or create a common enemy of this hybrid project management approach. And now, today, both of these powers realize that, okay, neither waterfall plan-driven approach nor agile approach actually works, especially in the IT industry. And you will notice, I think there is PMBOK guide coming up very soon, and I'm pretty sure they will make it hybrid. It will be a hybrid project management approach, and they will be teaching you very soon hybrid project management approaches. Unfortunately, they are usually, as they do it backwards. They basically reverse engineer what real project managers do, and they look at the field and see, okay, the real project managers actually mix all the approaches. So the answer is no, it's not a new. It's always been here, and great project managers for many years already, they looked at project management not as a puzzle, not as a like one thing, but more like a Lego set where you put together different pieces and create your methodology based on the needs of the project. By the way, you must have heard the term like tailoring, project tailoring as a skill. That's basically the idea of putting together different tools and processes from plan-driven and agile frameworks. Is there a certification on hybrid project management? That's a tricky question. The answer is no. As of now, there is no hybrid project management approach certification that I know of, at least, which is as good as or as popular as a PMP. But my course, specifically in my course, which I basically been preaching for 10 years, it's a hybrid project management approach. I teach hybrid project management for many years already because I've seen this long ago, and I decided, okay, my approach is that you should be combining the processes and tools. You are not following a rigid project management approach. You are not dogmatic about agile. You want to see this all as a set of tools that you put into the skeleton or a framework of your life cycle. All right, how do you implement a hybrid project management approach? This is the $100 or $1 million question. The challenge with hybrid project management approach is to build correct expectations, because stakeholders don't understand this concept. They see it all as a just project management mumbo jumbo, and the best way is to educate them. You must at least once dedicate a meeting to explain your approach to project management, create a life cycle diagram as I showed you, and say, okay, here we're doing this, to create this deliverable. Once we have this deliverable, we can jump into implementation, and there will be Scrum, and you will have demos every 2 weeks. You can change requirements and so on and so on. And then we will get back to deployment phases, hypercare phases, and so on. So educating your stakeholders is the key. Everything else, they don't care. You just need to build expectations as how you are going to manage the project. What project management software supports the hybrid project management approach? Basically, any project management software can support hybrid project management approach. In most cases, you just need 2 visualizations. I would say if you have Jira, then most of the work will be in Jira, and you need just a roadmap or life cycle, this Gantt chart life cycle representation of your project, and you can create it in some slide decks in Google Slides or in PowerPoint, and that's it. If you have something like Vrike, MS Project, or other tools, they support it directly. You can create a high-level plan, and you can implement everything using Scrum or Kanban approach right there. And the main question is, like, does hybrid project management require special training? I would say yes, because the skill of putting together different tools, techniques, and approaches into one project management approach requires you to understand A, why project management works, B, how different tools and techniques connect with each other. So, for example, if you have, I don't know, project charter, what pieces of project charter do you take and break down into deliverables, requirements, and tasks, and so on? How do you track it from start to finish? If you have work breakdown structure, how do you implement it in Jira, for example? There is no such tool in Jira like work breakdown structure. You need to somehow implement its concepts there. And in this case, you basically need to understand the concept, not the tool, not the representation of a work breakdown structure and deliverables, the concept. If you know the concept, it's very easy to basically use tags or components or some other piece of capabilities in Jira to replicate the concept. That's why basically I recommend my course, because I know all of that and why it's important. And the course that I showed you before, it teaches you project management in the real world. So it teaches you how to see different pieces of project management, how to connect them together, how to basically build your own project management approach whenever you need it. So if you want to have a taste of what I'm teaching, how it looks like, you can go to this barcode or QR code, whatever you call it, scan with your phone, get the mini course. It's free. You will get, by the way, a lot of prompts there that will help you to fix your project if you have troubles right now. It will tell you about 6 fundamental project management ideas that you need to implement, including deliverables, work breakdown structure, and stuff like this. So it's free. Just take a look. It will be beneficial in any case, whether you are a new project manager or you have like 10 years of experience. All right. That's all from my side. I will answer some questions if you have them, maybe for another 5 to 7 minutes. If you have anything, let me know in the comments. If not, we'll be wrapping up. So here's the question from LinkedIn. Can we get the recording after, please? Yes, you can watch the recording on my YouTube channel. So once we finish, it will be available right away on my YouTube channel. So go there and rewatch as much as you want. All right. So, all right. I will basically stay here for a few minutes to answer your questions. Maybe while you think, I will show you around my course. All right. Don't be shy, ask any questions. Maybe if it's not even related to this hybrid project management topic, that's totally fine. I will try to answer to my best. Okay, we have a question from Andrew. You first have to understand the project at hand, because just as each project works well with a framework, same way you can figure out which can be combined to achieve the project goal. Well, yeah, I totally agree that you need to understand the project. But again, it's an exercise of conceptualization of principles of project management and abstracting the approach. If you think about it from like high level perspective, you don't really need to understand the project. Like, I'm exaggerating this, but you need to understand what are the project management things or tools and techniques you need to run a project. And you as a project manager don't even need to understand what's going on under the hood from technology perspective, from business perspective, in most cases. What you want to have is the high level step-by-step approach, which is agnostic to the business goal, which you can adapt to any type of work that you get. Even if it's like, if you think about it, I am as a project manager can lead a large enterprise level AI ML project or product development, but at the same time I can use my same skills to plan out a party for 20 people, for example, as a picnic somewhere, and I can implement it using my project management skills. I will apply the same concepts. I'll just tone them down to the level of complexity required. And if you think about any IT project, if you think about any product in the IT, what's happening like in essence there is that you take some data or some information, you transform this data, and you put it somewhere else and show it to maybe to end users. That's all that happens in IT projects. Everything else is just different mediums and tools that you use to transform one piece of information into a different piece of information, more valuable to the end user. That's it. After that, if you conceptualize it to this level, then project management becomes much easier to conceptualize and break it down into deliverables, into work packages, tasks, and requirements. And that's all you need. All right. So your email spoke about AI lifecycle in project management. How do we approach it different from SDLC in this new age? Yes. If you missed the start of the live stream, I explained that it will be a series of live streams. So we had to lay the foundation of understanding the hybrid project management approach. Somewhere maybe next week or week after that, I will be hosting another live stream where we'll talk about challenges and work and nature of work of AI projects and their life cycle. How do we lead a data-driven or data project where you consume data and like use data later, or if it's Gen AI project and how we lead it, or if it's a like training of predictive AI model and using it in a product. So basically, yeah, that would be the topic of the next live stream. As I said, we must understand the idea of hybrid project management and identifying the life cycle for those projects before we jump into that. So good question. Will companies use AI to replace PMs? How can we position ourselves to be irreplaceable? That's a great question. Top of the mind question. I would say at least for the next few years, AI will not replace PMs, but PMs who use AI, they will replace other project managers, because AI right now, as it stands right now, it's just a very powerful tool. It's a force multiplier, if you know the term. It basically allows one project manager to do the work of three traditional project managers. Uh, for example, I will publish a video next week, next Tuesday, on how I used AI tool to create uh, an epic and 7 user stories in a span of 5 minutes. And these are very detailed, very comprehensive user stories in a span of 10 minutes. So if I just structure the projects with the mind of AI, with AI in mind, so I will lead meetings, I will collect data, I will collect transcripts with the mind that I will use AI on them, I can basically replace 3, maybe 5 other project managers and business analysts on top of that. That's why the the idea is that you must be a power user of AI. You must understand its capabilities, limitations, all these hallucinations, uh, context windows, and so on and so on. You must understand how it works so you can leverage the tool. People who will use AI, like for everyday consumer-based usage, they will get behind very quickly and they will be replaced. So if you want to position yourself irreplaceable in the company, you must become a strategic leader of AI adoption, which means you must, from one side, understand project management very deeply, how processes connect with each other, how they interact, why they work, why project management work in the first place. What are the components that make project management a separate knowledge domain, and why it helps improve project success rates. And then you need to understand AI, its capabilities and limitations. And when you combine both, you start seeing the possibilities to increase productivity in certain steps or certain workflows in project management. And the idea is that A, you can increase productivity, but B, there is also another side of AI. You can start doing some processes or some activities that were impossible, like in the world of manual application, like analyzing data, creating requirements in bulk, all of that, what was impossible before without AI. So you want to be able to apply AI and its newest capabilities to the problems and limitations of current project management approach. That's how you become irreplaceable. All right, Carlos, that's a great question. Have you heard of vertical stack model in project management? Just had a reorg, and this is what we're moving towards. I don't think I heard the term like that, vertical stack model. What I know is happening is that a certain layer of middle management layer is currently disappearing because you don't need them to push down the work. Instead, you want to have a manager, a leader right at the implementation team. And the idea is that project managers in this case, they are not disappearing. They are just moving again closer to the teams. And I would say most project managers will also soon become closer to product management. Because again, there is no need to have two different roles. Business analysts may disappear as well. Sorry if you're a business analyst, that's a hard news for you. But Carlos, if that's not what you mean, maybe you can give a quick explanation of what's the vertical stack model is. I believe that one thing that AI cannot do, and this stems from its foundational limitation. AI doesn't have true understanding. It doesn't have true empathy. It doesn't basically can read between the lines. And right now, it's not something that we will overcome anytime soon. AI, in essence, it's a prediction machine. It's just predicting which word comes next in the sentence, in the context. But it doesn't give you true understanding. It's just an analytical model. You must understand this, and then, like, very easily, you can come up with conclusions that people will need people to do the work. The problem will start appearing with AI specifically when we come to a model where we don't, I would say, when we overcome human ego. When human ego will be out of question, then AI can do the product development from start to end in the most like sophisticated way without a need of a manager. But at the same time, other things will happen. First of all, we will very quickly reach the point when AI will generate all the best possible solutions, so there will be no need to create other alternatives and competitors. And B, by the time we get to this type of automation and sophistication of AI, we will all lose our jobs, especially in this uh, what you call like intelligence work or knowledge-based work. So I would say when it happens, it will not be our only problem. Right now, think about how to apply AI to the problems that you have so that you can generate more value for the organization on a longer term. By that time, you will transform from a project manager to a strategic leader in some other area. Is it possible to make AI model help predict certain outcomes? Definitely. So what we've been talking about and hearing about most of the time is Gen AI. So it's AI which generates text or some kind of content. And that's just only one branch of AI. And we have another like different world with what's called predictive AI or machine learning, if you want a general term. And there you basically can take any type of data. If you break it down like well enough, if you have large corpus of data, you can train the model or use specific algorithms to train the machine learning model or predictive model to generate certain outcomes like future predictions. And things like, at least what I've been exposed to, like revenue management or price identification. You can take all historical data about how you sold your product, at which price points, how different factors impacted those prices, like huge amount of data. You train the model on it, and as output, it gives you a prediction of a better price, a price point for your product, which consumers will still buy based on all the factors that will happen for that moment of time. And so on and so on. So yeah, that's a good question. I think the challenge here right now, guys, if you're like hearing me talk right now and I explain some things like predictive model, Gen AI, limitations, and if you are like not 100% clear what it is, what it means, why it's important, you should be a bit worried already. You must know this, especially as a project manager. You must understand all these concepts, all these ideas. Like you should have known them at least 6 months ago, better like a year ago. So again, if you want to catch up, if you don't want to miss the train of AI, and like Carlos said, like how do we? Oh, it's not Carlos, but yeah, Carla said, like, if you want to be irreplaceable, you must know this, because the problem is not that you are typing something in ChatGPT and it creates you some content. You must understand how it works. You need to know all this terminology. You want to understand what even ChatGPT means. If you cannot answer it right now, what this abbreviation stands for, as a project manager, you're already behind. And then, like, context window, retrieval augmented generation, model training, fine tuning, all of these data governance, another topic that you must work through. So if you feel like you are behind, strongly recommend my course. You can find the link below. uh, it will be a hybrid project management approach with Scrum and Kanban, plus everything you need to know about AI. Plus, you will get prompts that you can use at work. Plus, you will get my chatbot, which knows project management much better than ChatGPT or any other AI tool. All right. Okay, for this question, will quantum computing help accelerate AI gen, AI, or even singularity? I don't know. That's too much. I can say that uh, there is way too much hype around singularity and in AI. Basically, what it means is that if the first company will create this super AI model, it will become the only, like, monopoly in AI, because it will auto generate better and better models after that, and no one will be able to catch up. And the answer is, I don't know. I feel like the problem here is not that it's a development problem. We may get into the idea that, okay, some company will create this super AI, and we will hit some other limit, not technological limit. Maybe the future AI models, which will require this super AI model, it will require way too much power, like electricity or computing power, to create the next model. And then we'll be, like, stuck or constrained by something else, not just the technological progress, not model, like, training problem. I'm pretty sure that we will hit something like that first, and this will slow down everything that's happening in AI right now. And then there's also an economical side of things. There is so many opinions here, so I will not say that I know the answer. But you can imagine a situation where everything that's happening right now, all the investment of money, will not pay off. And again, this development of AI and even, like, quantum computing will slow down even further, because people will see that, okay, it's not giving out the results that were promised. That will be another constraint. So I don't know. That's the answer. But the question is good. All right. Okay, guys, any other questions? I will give you 1 minute to generate a new question. If not, we'll wrap up. And I hope to see you on the next live stream, where we'll be talking about AI life cycles. And I will give you a bit of what I have in the course right now, specifically how to run data projects and AI products. Yeah, Carlos, I've just talked about it. I think it will slow down. I think that the trajectory that we got, at least right now, will change. And it either will be an economical problem, like the bubble will burst, or it will be a constraint of other type, like lack of power, lack of electricity, computing power, microchips, whatever. When you tailor your project, how do you agree about the deliverables with the stakeholders? The traditional model has the agreed phases, Agile has sprints. Uh, So basically, deliverables can be external, internal, mandatory, and optional, interim, and final. So there are a lot of types of deliverables. When it comes to stakeholders, especially like you will have groups of stakeholders. Each group will have certain desires about your project, and for example, your project owners, your clients, customers, sponsors, they will want the product itself, and based on the requirements to the product, you will have some technologically required deliverables. Like, for example, if we want to create an invoice recognition system, we may use Azure platform. They have a module there to do that. This gives you like mandatory technologically driven deliverables. But then the problem, as I see it from your question, is that, okay, I think as a project manager, I need a special deliverable like go live plan. And I need to spend certain amount of time at the end of the project, maybe use time of my architects, developers to create this plan. And now like I'm presenting this to stakeholders and they say, no, it's a waste of time. This becomes a typical negotiation problem. You will have to present the arguments or proof why you need this specific deliverable, why it's beneficial for the project, what does it give to stakeholders, and what's the trade-off if we don't have this deliverable. Sometimes the bigger problem is not like how do you agree on what are the deliverables. Usually they are either very obvious, like if you want this capability, we need to use this technology, or we need to implement this feature. The bigger problem is that, okay, we are developing something new, unexpected, never done before. How do we know that we identified all the deliverables for our product? That's a bigger challenge. And here it's just an exercise of collaboration. You basically want to work with as many stakeholders and subject matter experts as possible to identify all these possible deliverables. So if I understand your question correctly, then the challenge of proving and getting approval to create certain deliverables and therefore use resources on them. This is an exercise of negotiation. And second, if you have certain technological solutions and you have alternatives, then you will have to basically again prove the cost, like benefits of different approaches, and show the justification for the one that you choose. All right, Carlos, which is the best for a network? Which model is the best for network project in data center that has T3 target date, but customer want it in 30 days? I don't know. Like again, it's a very specific question, and to answer it, you need to know the business case, the requirements, and the available data, in which format this data, and so on. So there are a lot of considerations when it comes to selecting a model. And I will tell you right away, I'm a project manager, I'm technical project manager, but I'm not a data scientist. You need to ask these questions to people who understand the capabilities and limitations of different models. And there are like hundreds of models. Depending on what platform you use, you have access usually to hundreds of foundational models. And obviously, I don't know all of them. I don't understand all the nuances and difference in those models. But if the question, like in terms of timeline, has a T3 target date, okay, the answer here is that usually you try to find a foundational model which is already pre-trained for you instead of trying to create your own model from scratch. That's the project management and business answer to you. If you need technical answer, I think you'll have to explore it based on the cloud provider that you have. And this is specifically ties back to the idea. In most cases, it's very hard to just theoretically select the model, and most probably you will have to play around and test which model produces the best results. That's why you may need to do some testing. Selecting the right model. Let me see if I have the answer for you. I did some research on which model is the best in my course, but again, it depends on the use case. Again, just to give you some idea, I don't know how deep is your understanding of the problem here, but you basically want to do the same research and say, okay, we have I don't know, llama models, which is best for some fine-tuning for specific domains like legal. And if we go deeper into, I don't know, some predictive models, image generation, what do we have here? Video generation. Do we have? Okay, embedded models. Documentary similarity. So semantic search, global knowledge databases, basically RAG, cross-language search, audio. So basically, yeah, you may need to do this research and find the answer for your specific use case based on what's the best application of this model. You see, guys, how deep we're getting into the technical aspects of AI projects, and we're still on the level of project managers understanding technical awareness. We're not even getting even close to data science here, to understanding what's the nuances of the processes that's happening under the hood of any LLM or any predictive model. But if you don't understand what we are discussing here, even with Carlos, on this very high level, very unscientific level, anti-scientific level, you need to dive deeper. You need to start exploring. This will escalate very quickly. Even if we stay at this level of AI development, that there will be no new big transformation in AI, all of this will stay, and you will have to do the projects with AI very soon. All right, guys, I think we'll wrap up here. Again, if you want to participate in the second part and maybe third part of AI in project management, do scan this barcode. I say barcode, but it's a QR code all the time. Yeah, you will get on my email list, and I will notify you when the next live stream will happen. And next time we'll talk about specifically life cycles for AI, and we'll talk more about nature of work. Maybe we'll touch some technical things like machine learning ops. You must have heard about DevOps. Now we have LM ops, we have LM sec ops, and so on, so on. So all these terms, all these ideas, you must know. Sooner or later they will hit you, and you will have to run this project, these types of projects. All right. With that said, thank you so much for staying with me. I hope you got some value, and I hope to